Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of A Gardener's Journey Homestead. I am Barbara. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. And today I'm excited because I'm going to be talking to you about my soil test results. So that's why you see me inside and not outside today. So if you have not done a soil test before, or if you haven't done one in a while, then I want you to stay tuned. We're going to talk about the importance of the soil test. I'm going to remind you the kit that I used, and I'm going to actually show you my results. So let's go. So the first thing I want to talk about is that I did a video probably, it may be 3 weeks ago now. I'll try to find it and link it up here. But I talked about doing a soil test, and I used a brand new kit that I had not used before. And so I have done soil tests every year since I've been in gardening. So this is my third time doing it. Let me see. No, let me get that right. Yeah, it's my third time doing it. Um, I didn't do it the first year. I started the year after that. I remember now. So anyway, and so what I've done in the past is that I have just gone to my local co-op extension office, and they give you a box with a piece of paper. So like a little kit. You put the dirt in the box, and then you ship it, and it goes, for me, it goes to a lab. Like, I don't know, I think it's somewhere in Kentucky. I'm actually in Tennessee. And then you'll get your results back in about 3 or 4 weeks. It's typically the way the processes work, and that works fine. And so, if you've never done a soil test before and you're wondering how do you do one, you can certainly use this new option that I'm telling you about, or you can go to your local co-op extension office, and I'm pretty sure they'll have a soil test kit or direct you to where you can get one. But I tried something new this year. I did something, like I said, I'll try to link that video, but I think it's called My Soil Test Kit. I bought it off Amazon, and it came with a solution, a bottle with some solution. It came with instructions on how to do the soil sample, and then it came with a prepaid postage envelope. So literally, I did my sample, put it in the little container, and then put it in my mailbox, and voila, and I had results within like a week um, online. So I like the fact that I could get them quicker, the results quicker. I like the fact that it's online. And I like the fact that there's a repository. So next year, if I want to do the same test again, or next season, if I use the same kit, which I plan on using, then I'll have my results year after year after year. Versus now, my soil test kit, my soil results, I think I have them saved on my computer somewhere, and I also have a hard copy, but they're not like together, if that makes sense. So I like that. Either option is fine, but I'm always trying to be as efficient as possible. So I want to show you the layout of how my results look, so that if you're interested in using this kit that I used, you'll kind of have an idea. But again, I like the fact that everything was right there. It was, I mean, less than 10 minutes, and that I got the results back quicker. Now, for me, I should have done my test sooner before I started planting in the ground. When I did my test, I had, let me think. Yeah, I already had some stuff in the ground, which I was behind, but I still did the test anyway. So now, instead of me amending properly before I planted, I'm going to have to go back and amend and adjust now that my plants are already in the ground. But it's better than not amending at all. So I'm going to turn the camera around, and I'm going to show you, and we're going to go look at my results, and we'll talk through it. Okay, hopefully you can see my computer screen. So when you do your soil test using the kit that I use, you're going to register your kit. There's a box or a piece of paper that comes with the kit that has a registration or a code. You put that in so it knows which kit is yours. And the other thing that I did mention is that you can track it. So once you put the code in, it'll provide like a little tracking thing, and you can see when it was received there. And then it'll also let you know when your results are ready. So you can see that mine was done on May the 12th. So that was about 3 weeks ago. So let's go here to the dashboard. This is what I was talking about. So when I put in my code here, this number, you can see it had the little truck there. So I was able to see the tracking on it. I can see when it was received from my local post office versus when it got there, and then when the whole thing was received. So you click on this, and that's the actual tracking. That's not what we want. Click on this. Okay, so now we can see the results. So you can see kind of how it's laid out. And so one of the things it's going to ask you is, what are you doing a soil test for? Are you doing it for a vegetable garden? Are you doing it for fruit trees? Or are you doing it for like your lawn? And so for me, I'm doing a vegetable garden, and then you can see the results here. So let's look at this first box here. You can see my levels, and you can see the green line is where it's optimal. So you can see that here, this is like the optimal range in between these two green lines. And then it also splits it out into macronutrients and micronutrients. And so your soil needs both. So let me talk a little bit about the reason and the importance of doing a soil test. You want to know the health of your soil, and you want to know what your soil is missing. That is why you do a soil test, to know what it has enough of and what it does not have enough of, so that you can amend meaning change, add to your soil, so that you can get it to optimal levels, right? So that your plants can thrive. So you can see here, the green is the optimal range, and then you can see where mine kind of fall out. And then you go to the next box here. It's going to give you a fertilizer recommendation. So I like this as well, because the other one didn't necessarily give me a recommendation, but this does. And it's telling me how much to put down and per 100 square feet. And so that's perfect for me, because this particular space where I did the soil test, my rows are 100 feet rows. So that works good. So it's telling me what type of fertilizer, whether it's organic or synthetic. And so this one is a 1200, which means it's high in nitrogen, because I am low in nitrogen. Look at my nitrogen number here. Do you guys see that? My nitrogen is really, really, really low. And we'll get to that in a minute. And then it has a section here at the top where it says shop recommended products. So when you click on these, it takes you to some links about some products that you can use in relation to how your soil tests. So it gave me some suggestions for some nitrogen and for the things that I was missing. Okay, so there's organic products, there's synthetic, and there's also pH and micronutrient products. So this is just a quick pictorial view here. If you scroll up, here's a fertilizer recommendation. And then when you scroll here, you have the recommended products, the organic, then synthetic, and the pH and micronutrients. So I like the way that it does that. The next thing is, if you can see here, raw soil data. This is going to give me the data in numbers versus this is like in a chart. So let's take a minute and look at this. Again, the other report that I got, and if I can find it, I'll pull it up. It gave me the same or similar information, but the format and the layout was different. I like that I can just go here, and at a quick glance, I see what's really low. I see what is really high. But then if you go here, even here in this very last column under the rating, it tells you optimal, low, high, optimal. So again, I can see where I'm low, where I'm high. So let's take a look at this. The first line is pH. You want your the pH of your soil to be between 5.8 and 7. You see that mine is 6.5, so it's optimal. So there's nothing to do there. But look at my nitrogen. The nitrogen range is from 32 to 60. My nitrogen is an 11. That's really, really low. And so I already know that I'm going to have to amend my soil and add in more nitrogen, right? And so we can think about the products that are high in nitrogen. But I want you to think about, what if I did not do a soil test, right? And I didn't know that my nitrogen was low. If I was just to plant this season, I can guarantee you that my yield would not be as great, because we know that, like, I'm planting corn. We know that corn is a high nitrogen feeder. We know that tomatoes need nitrogen, right? The list can go on and on and on. So that's when I say alarming, like, my nitrogen has never been low, but it's a good thing that I checked, because now I see that my nitrogen is really low and that we need to do something about that. Okay. You can see that my phosphorus is high. And so the optimal range is between 8 and 20. I'm at a 24. The reason why this is interesting is because for the last 2 years, my phosphorus has been low. And so I have amended my soil to add in more phosphorus, we did some rock phosphate, and we also did, is it blood meal or bone meal? I always get those confused. Anyway, we did one of the meals. And so that means that my soil did get better in phosphorus, but now it's a little high. So I don't need to add more phosphorus, right? I'm good where I am. But you can see that my potassium is low, okay? The other thing is my calcium is high, which I thought was very interesting. And it's way high, y'all, way high. It should be 80 to 320, and mine is at 632. And so what calcium does, it helps your plants to uptake the nutrients, right? And so I'm going to do a little bit more research on that to see if it's so high like this, is it actually causing my plants harm? I need to look that up. So you can see, and I won't go through all of these, but you can just see kind of at a quick glance of how it's laid out. But I can see that I need to definitely amend my nitrogen. I don't need to add any more phosphorus, but I do need potassium. So those are the what we call the macronutrients. And then you have the micronutrients here. You can see I am high in manganese, which is interesting, but I'm low in zinc and boron. And so we can talk again about how do we get some of those micronutrients. So also here you can click on your nutrient density score. I had never heard of that at all. And so this was some good information to read up upon. It says that I'm at a medium at 53%. So I'm right, looks like in here. And it says high. And so I have to go back and do some more research on this and read about it to see what the optimal score should be. I'm assuming that, well, let me not assume. Let me just go back and read it. I didn't get a chance to finish reading this, but if you know, then put it down below. I would assume you want your nutrient density to be high, but the fact that they have this charted here and it's in the high range leads me to believe that, oh, okay, this is saying here, it says projected nutrient density score if ranges are met. Okay, got it. So this is my current score here in this blue, and then it looks like it'll go here if I get it into, if the ranges are met. I think that's the way it's saying, because that would make sense. I would think you want your nutrient density to be high versus low. So that's a nice little thing there. Let me see if there's anything else I want to show you guys on this. So that's the nutrient density score. And then let me show you some of these when you click on these for the micronutrient products. Yep, it's going to recommend azomite. And so azomite, I did put down when we made the amendments. It was my first time using azomite. And so I did put it down before we, I did put it down as an amendment. And I'm trying to think, did I do my soil test before or after the amendments? I want to say it was after, but that tells me that I can still add some more azomite because it's going to be great for your trace minerals and for your micronutrients. So we can definitely do that. Okay, so that's the one thing that it recommends. So I'm glad that I was already on the right track with that. And so let's look at some of the organic products that it recommends as well. So Fulva, and I won't go through all these, but it kind of just takes you to Amazon and gives you like a list of products that you can potentially use. So for this one, the blood meal, the 1200, remember my nitrogen is really low. So this is what it recommends in terms of a nutritional value, the 1200. And so there are other things also that I can use for low nitrogen as well. So let's just go back. So I'll turn you back around, but at least you can kind of see the general consensus. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. It surely has been helpful to me to know exactly. I don't have to guess. I don't have to just kind of play the guessing game and estimate and assume. I know exactly where my soil is lacking and I know what I need to add. So I will have a heavy emphasis on making sure that I add nitrogen. this particular summer season, and then also watching and trying to add in some potassium and then also some micronutrients. So that's what I'll be focused on. But now, again, we're not shooting in the dark. We're being very specific. And again, one of the things I almost started not to do one, which I know better, but I started not to do one because I'm thinking, well, the last 2 years has been really low in phosphorus. Well, I'm so glad that I did one because now my phosphorus is high, which means what I did worked, but it's a little bit higher than it needs to be. But my nitrogen has been depleted. And so if you think about, there are certain crops that we talked about that need nitrogen, then you also have some crops that are heavy nitrogen feeders, which is another reason why a lot of people will do cover crops. So my goal after this summer season in the in-ground space is to plant a cover crop that's going to put nitrogen back in the soil. And so if I would have done that this last season, I guarantee you my nitrogen numbers would have been higher, but that's okay. Now we know, and now we can adjust and amend accordingly. And then we have a track record. Again, I went looking for my soil test results from last year, and I can't find them. So that's another reason why I need to be digital and electronic. I know that I have a paper copy, but I don't know that I have it electronically because I had to go into some website and look at it and something. I don't know. You know what? I just thought about it. There may be one more place I can find it. Let's see. Okay, y'all, I actually found it. It was in my email. See, that's why I need to be electronic because that way I can have all my stuff together. So I pulled it up, and y'all, it's even more sad than I thought it was. Not sad in terms of my results, but I really like this new kit I'm using way more, even more than I did before I went and looked at my old results. So my old results, y'all, I didn't even have nitrogen on there, which is weird. It gave me a recommendation to add some nitrogen to certain rows. Like it said something like if I was planting corn or planting this particular crop, then add this nitrogen as a side dressing. But it didn't give me a nitrogen rating, so to speak, which I didn't even recognize that at the time. You know, the more you learn, the more you grow. It's a journey, y'all. But yeah, and again, I was right. I remember correctly. My phosphorus was really low. Of course, now it's high. My potassium was very high. Now my potassium is low. So y'all, that's interesting. But the other thing to remember is that in my new in-ground space, remember I expanded it. So some of the soil came from that expanded space as well as the space that I had already planted in. So maybe that's making a difference. I don't know, but it may be cool for me to do another soil test at the end of the season and see what levels improved or balanced out. That may be a good thing to do. So we'll see what happens with that. But all in all, I'm glad that I did it. Now I know, and I would encourage you to do a soil test, even if you've already put your stuff in the ground. At least you'll know how to amend your soil and how to fertilize as the rest of the season goes on. You don't want to go through the whole season and then you don't have the yield that you want, or your crops are not healthy and you don't know why. Soil health is really, really, really important. That is where the life of your plants are living. That's where they're getting their livelihood, their life from. And so it's important that we make sure that we're paying attention to soil health and that we're doing everything that we possibly can to improve. Because if we improve the soil health, we're going to improve our plant yield and also our nutrient density, meaning, the amount of nutrients in the foods that we are growing, because we want them to have nutritional value. I went back and read something on that nutrient density, and you do want that number to be high. You want your foods to be nutrient dense, loaded and packed with nutrients. So I would encourage you, if you have not done a soil test, that I will leave the link below of the soil test kit that I use. I will also link the video above where I talked about it and I actually showed me doing it. So if you want to see that, you're more than welcome to take a look at that. But let me know in the comments if you've done a soil test, if you do it every year, every season, and if you've been pleased with your results or any of your success stories. If you've amended your soil before and then you go back and you've seen that you've made a difference, then let me know. I would love to hear your before and after stories. And as you guys follow me, of course, I'll be sharing more. So go get your soil test kit today if you haven't done that already, and make that a part of your list. If you're a new gardener, I get it. the very first season. I didn't do one. I think I did it for, yeah, I did it after the first season. So make sure that you go ahead and get that done and add that to your list. But I hope that this was helpful. I'll be taking you guys along as I amend my soil. I know that I need nitrogen. I know that I need potassium. So we'll be talking about what are some things that are high in nitrogen that I can use. I've already, they suggested that we do blood meal. We can do alfalfa. We can do worm castings. We can do feather meal. And I think cottonseed meal are all high in nitrogen. So there's plenty of choices. And again, some of those are slow release, some of those are quick release. And so again, as you kind of dig into it, you can kind of see again which ones you want to go with, depending on how low your numbers are, how high your numbers are. But anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me. I cannot wait to hear your comments and see or hear about your before and after stories with doing soil tests. Remember, this is all a journey. Let's grow together. I'll see you next time, friend.